Sometimes I start these videos with my hey guys and then I realize that I've been doing crazy eyes and I have to start again. That is exactly what has happened today. Hey guys, let's talk about books. Today I have been tagged in a quarter-year crisis book tag video. I don't know about the word crisis. We've only just begun the year. Why are we panicking about reading? Why are we panicking? Blah, blah, blah. Why are we panicking about reading in general? Reading is fun, and there's no point getting yourself head up about it when it's still only March. So I'm renaming it the quarter-year check-in tag. And I've been tagged in this by Kelly at Curatorially Yours. She said that she was keen to hear my answers, and you know what? Let's give the fans what they want. I'm here holding my bullet journal because it's weird to do this without something in my hand. So, shall we go on with the questions? The first question is, how many books have you read so far? Now we need to go to Storygraph for this, so let me get that going on. All right, here's my Storygraph. We need to head over to Stats. If you can hear that creaking, that's my keyboard over here. I'll try not to creak. All right, Stats, it says I have read 23 books this year, which is an insane amount. A lot of them have been short, and short's a relative term. I read fantasy, or I think of myself as a reader of fantasy, and they're hefty. Like, just as a demonstration, this is what's next to me. That's the size of book that I read. So books that are 200, 150 pages, which I have been reading this year for various reasons, including fun, they feel really short, and it feels kind of cheating to mark them as books. Books they are. I'm just a snob. So we're on 23 books. Question 2. Have you already found a book you think might be a 2024 favorite? So I reckon if we're looking for my favorite book, it might be this 5-star read. I think I know what's in there. That's a reread. So let's look in the 4s, because 4s will be stuff that was great or stuff that was new to me, because I don't give 5 stars on the first date. And of these, it's got to be Shirley Jackson. We Have Always Lived in the Castle was surprisingly amazing. Spooky AF. If my review of that one is up, I will link it. I know I've filmed it, but it doesn't mean I've got it up yet. I loved it so much, and I've heard so much about it, so it was a shock actually to find out that it actually was amazing. Sometimes you hear about books, not talking about anyone in particular, Mary Shelley, that you hear a lot about and then it's not the one. But Shirley Jackson, highly recommend if you're looking for something unsettling AF. It was great. In fact, I've loaned it out to Kidling's friends. My daughter's 15, and I've loaned it out to her friends who are asking for spooky classic recommendations. So I hope that they find it spooky as well as not just me being a middle-aged white lady unsettled by the events of this book. The next question is, are there any 1-star books? There's 2-star books. There's Frankenstein. I mentioned that. We're not going to rant about Frankenstein again. I will link to my ranty reviews of Frankenstein. And then we've got Gothic Literature by Andrew Smith. This is an academic work, and I usually give academic works 2 stars if they do what they said on the tin. I'm not reading them for fun. They're usually dry and you got to slog through them. They are readable and they are imparting info that I need. It's just not my fave. So they usually get 2 stars because they're fine, and 2 stars is it was fine. I didn't hate it, but I didn't like it. Maybe I should give Frankenstein less. I mean, it was fine. It was perfectly fine. It was just not great. Question 4 is your most read genre of the year. Now, I have a feeling that might be classics because I've had to read a lot of classics for uni this year. Let's go back to the stats. And that'll be up here. Ooh! How many is that? 8. Sorry, the camera's in front of the screen. 8 what does literary mean? I don't know. I'm ignoring that. All right, 5 classics, 5 science fiction, 5 historical, 5 fantasy. That is a surprise because I would have said if classics wasn't the top, it would be science fiction. So to have historical and fantasy also up there as well. And obviously there'll be overlap. Books will be more than one genre. That's really interesting to me. And then horror is a little bit behind on 4. That's not a shock because I was studying Gothic literature at uni, so horror is going to come under Gothic because they are in the same family, let's say. Super interesting. I've definitely been leaning into the classics this year for my fun reading, not just uni reading, and heaps of science fiction. A book that surprised you. Oh, let's go back to the thing. What I've got here in the list. A book that surprised me. It's Dracula. For sure. I had so much fun with Dracula, and I'll link that review as well. But it's a full-on banger for something where you already know the entire plot. You know how it ends. You know the main characters, or at least one of them, Professor Van Helsing. It's just a really pacey, page-turning thriller of a book. And I really enjoyed it. So that really surprised me. Since I had to read it for uni, I didn't pick it up for fun. I'm glad to have put it in my brain parts. It was really great. Next one is, we're up to question 6. A book that has come out in 2024 already that you want to read, but you haven't yet. Now, this one, by the time I put this on the internet, this book will have come out, but the day I'm recording it, I'm still waiting for it, and that is Stuart Turton's The Last Murder at the End of the World. Let's ask Storygraph what it's called. Stuart Turton. Yep, The Last Murder at the End of the World. I just insta pre-ordered this. I haven't read the blurb. I don't read blurbs, as you know, if you hang out on this channel, until I'm reading them for my haul videos, because I find that they're very spoilery or just don't reflect the story at all. And if I read the blurb, I would be put off more books than I actually read. Stuart Turton wrote The 7 Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle, which is sometimes called The 7.5 Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle. This is an Agatha Christie style mystery, but with a bit of a fantastical twist in that the guy who is solving the mystery, it's like a closed room mystery. The guy who's solving it, when he dies or it's the end of the day, he wakes up in the body of another person who is in this closed room environment, and he's got 7 days to work out the death of Evelyn Hardcastle, why she died. So that's really interesting and a good twist on that Agatha Christie style. And then The Devil in the Dark Water is a Sherlock Holmesian style mystery where the Holmes analogue is on a ship. They're heading from Indonesia to the Netherlands. It's set in the 17th century. And the Holmes analogue character is in a prison cell, I'm pretty sure. He's definitely confined. And the Watson analogue character has to do the solving of the mystery. Got a lot of stuff to do with the 17th century witch hysteria, witch trials sort of thing. So on the basis of those two, which I thoroughly enjoyed, I can see I gave 4 stars to The Devil in the Dark Water and 3 stars to Evelyn Hardcastle. I've insta pre-ordered this. By the time you are watching this video, hopefully I'm reading it because it comes out on Kindle on the 28th of March. Question 7, one goal you made that you're succeeding at. So really the only goals I have, go back to stats. The only goals I have is the book goal, which this year I set at 64, but nominally it's always 52 because that's something I've been able to consistently achieve for a couple of years, is the average of 1 book a week. I set it at 64 this year because the previous 2 years, last year I hit 65 and the previous year I hit 66. So I figured 64 was a reasonable goal. I don't really care. I'm going to read what I'm going to read, and I'm so ahead at the moment. It says I'm ahead by 8 books because I've been reading shorter things. But once I start digging into thicker non-fiction books and thicker fantasy books, and I want to read the Stormlight Archive this year, which is those white ones. They are chunky, they're 1,000 pages each. That's going to slow down my reading. So, but I don't really care. You know, I know that I will hit it reading at the pace that I read, and if I slow down because I switch to gaming rather than reading, or like my mum's coming for a couple of weeks, I probably won't read so much then. It's all good. It's not a big deal. Reading should be fun, not pursuing a goal. However, In the name of fun, I like to have my reading at least 25% non-fiction, and at the moment we're sitting on 26%. So that's actually cool. I like that. Yeah, I like to think that I'm still putting knowledge in my brain, not just delicious, delicious chocolate coated candy. Because some books are definitely not edifying, shall we say. And that's fine because reading's supposed to be fun, but I have fun learning things too. So I'm happy with that on the 26% at the moment. I would like to have more audiobooks going on, but it's just not. And last year too, I found I just wasn't really listening to audiobooks. My life at the minute is not set up for listening to books, and that's okay. It'll change. One goal I made that I need to focus on, that's question 8, is probably just the reading challenges that I'm part of. I'm part of the Sirens reading challenge that Kelly is hosting. It's to do with, how does she put it? Do you enjoy taking part in reading challenges but find it hard to stay on track because you are constantly being tempted by shiny new books? Yes, that's me, and probably the 96 people who've joined this challenge. So I have actually added heaps to this. There's 8 prompts and I've added prompts to 7 of them. Currently reading that one, currently reading that one. That one's a planned buddy read, and those ones are complete. So there's only one prompt that I'm not anywhere near yet, and that is the library. So I will have to actually go to my library, or maybe my local library, their digital stuff will have a book that I want to listen to, that I can listen to in a reasonable time, that is available. I've got all year. It's only March, so I'm not stressed at all, but I do need to keep that one in mind to go to the library or to keep an eye on my library's site for audiobooks. I'm not reading ebooks on my phone. That is a ridiculous psychopath behavior, and I can't get behind that. No, sir. And my library in particular doesn't use Libby, which in America, I think you can put your books straight onto a Kobo reader. But here in Australia, and certainly my experience of my library, that's not possible. So I just do not with the library. I love my library. I want to support it, but I can't support it if it doesn't have the books that I want to read. Finally, number 9 is new to you booktubers that I recommend. Now I have one, and that's a person that came to my channel from Kelly's tag video, and they are called The Mild Ruckus. I'm just going to look it up. The Mild Rumpus, sorry. I will link them below. They are somebody that I found through Kelly's video, but everybody else, I don't follow that many booktubers, and everyone else I've been following for a really long time. I like to really curate my YouTube playlist because otherwise I find the subscriptions overwhelming and I get really behind, and then I find it hard to catch up. And I want to catch up. I want to know what people are making and talking about, but you got to curate your life, and sometimes you got to unfollow. So I will just link everybody who is a booktuber that I follow who is still a booktuber, because there are some people on my follow list on YouTube who were booktubers when I subscribed, and they've pivoted their channels, and that's fine, obviously, but they're not booktubers anymore. So we have Kelly, obviously, from Curatorially Yours. There's Scott at Gunpowder Fiction and Plot. There's Kathy at The Grim Reader. And there's The Mild Rumpus. And then also I follow a book podcast on YouTube, because if I watch their videos on YouTube rather than listen to the podcast, they get more ad revenue. So that's the Books Unbound podcast. So that's kind of booktube because they do have a video version of their podcast. Was that interesting? Let me know. If you are a new booktuber and you found this video, please put your details in the comments, and then we can all go and find you, because booktube is a lovely space on YouTube, but it's a big space and it's hard to find your people. This channel is really small too, at 100 subscribers, but we can all lift each other up, and that's fun too. Okay guys, thanks for hanging out with me. I hope you enjoyed this, Kelly, and everybody else, and I will see you in the next video, which hopefully will be a haul, because hauls are my favorite. I love talking about books that I have bought, have welcomed into my life, and I'm excited to read. But that is a story for another day, and I'm going to go now. Bye.